that's competition. And competition makes the great ones better, and it shows the ones who aren't there yet where they need to improve.
I'm honored to chat with you today, 2-time NIL Athlete of the Year, male athlete that is. Dude, Chase Griffin, tell me how the heck you, at 10 years old, started playing football, and then were like, I'm going to be that guy at UCLA.
Yeah, I think growing up, soccer was my first sport.
Okay.
And so I always tell people I had a pair of the Ronaldinhos. Samuel Eto'o was probably my favorite player with Barcelona. Okay. And, I loved playing soccer. And the soccer games were on Saturdays, but my favorite part of the week were Sundays when I used to watch the football highlights. And it'd be LaDainian Tomlinson rushing for 250 yards on some team. And I remember I was like, man, I want to be a running back. And so going through flag my first year, I was running back. I was really good. I had good footwork just because of my time in soccer. But my father, he saw more out of it, where he knew I was, naturally adept at leadership. I had a good head on my shoulders, and he didn't want me to go through all the wear and tear on the body that running backs go through. So he was like, man, try quarterback. And as soon as I started training for it, Jeff Blake was actually my first quarterback trainer, and I learned how to love the game of football from the quarterback's perspective. And I think it's a different game from any other position, and maybe any other position in sports. And to this day, I'm so glad that I made that decision. As far as UCLA, I think it was both on the school side and on the athlete side. They had some good teams while I was growing up. I was born in UCLA Hospital, Santa Monica, which is right down Wilshire. But furthermore, the Black history and Black excellence here at UCLA really stood out to me. I was raised revering guys like, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Arthur Ashe, Jackie Robinson for their contributions, not just to their sports, but to the nation and the world. And to be able to be at a university and sort of pay homage to them through how I operate on this campus is a huge blessing.
What you just said there is so true, because we just walked around the library here trying to find a spot on campus at UCLA, and you have an ability to just speak to anyone and anyone, human to human. Obviously raised extremely well in Austin. Tell me about what it was like growing up in Texas. Who'd you cheer for? What's the difference between Texas and Los Angeles here? We just had our truck towed, so despite the parking issues, like what else is going on here that's different from Austin?
Dang. Well, in Texas, you do have more parking, so that's one thing. But I think, and you notice, like, my ability to talk to anyone, I think that's something maybe about the South, but Texas in particular, where, we talk to anyone. We can just be friendly, be cordial, and on a person-to-person level, being able to communicate. Conversation rules the nation, and to be able to do that, it applies to a lot of areas in my life. It's applying to this interview right now, but I think the football world, most importantly, as a quarterback, you got to be able to talk to each one of your players on an individual and personal basis. I believe that you supply energy. My quarterback trainer, George Wuerfful, told me quarterback supplies energy. I do that by knowing exactly what my teammates need, each one of them, and I give them that each day. And it helps me be on my point, because I'm doing the same thing for myself. I have positive self-talk whole way. Anytime I'm on the field, whether it be practice or a game, I feel like I'm the best player. And to be on a campus like UCLA, where everyone here is so smart, everyone here is, going to do something with their life. And there's going to be some real world beaters coming out of this campus right now, probably in this library right now. Being able to be friendly and cordial with each and every person, I think, is a huge skill.
Yeah, if they're here on a Friday, they got to be going somewhere, right?
Yeah, for real. They supposed to be in their rooms getting ready to go party.
What is the best part about UCLA coming here? Obviously, the athletics are incredible. Campus store looks legit. You got Jordan gear. Like, what's the piece, the cherry on top for you coming here outside of football, outside of the incredible athletics, academics? Is there a piece that stands out to you that's like, man, this place is special?
Yeah, I think the network that I've built here. There's a lot of great storylines to be played on here at UCLA, and I think a lot of the time, even us at the school, we don't maximize it. To be someone who has some vision on how to maximize it for myself, I think I'm having a positive impact on the school as a whole. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves who we are so that we continue being as great as we can possibly be. For UCLA, I think that's pointing towards the long history of cultural and social progress that both athletes and, you know, the general population here have been making since the start of it. You know, it started out co-ed, early integration. A lot of world changers have come through here, and I was blessed to do a major with public affairs where we talked about how to use policy, how to use infrastructure, how to use data analytics to help the maximum amount of people. And I think at a school like UCLA, where everyone who touches this campus, hopefully they leave here making the world a better place, I can't think of any other spot for someone with the aspirations of myself to go to.
And you definitely have high aspirations. I was trying to read through your LinkedIn profile, and there's like 42 different awards and honors that you've been recognized for. It was funny. I asked you a question earlier before we started recording about, you know, what are those specific ones that stand out to you that really mean a lot? And you said, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there on you. You do a quick Google search, you can find out Chase Griffin's got, you know, 30 plus brand deals going on, 10 active, known as the president. What's one thing people don't know about Chase Griffin?
I think that NIL is an amazing industry. It's growing. I think it deserves all the recognition that it deserves. But I think looking at it with tunnel vision isn't the right way to go about it. I think we look at NIL now as what it is, but I try to look at it for what it could be. And I know personally for myself, it's a foundation and it's a building block to what's next, whether it be, you know, on the venture capital side, the network that I've built, the early opportunities I've had to work in that space with dorm room fund cohort, et cetera. And then on the media side, I want to get into more long form, maybe hosting commercials, et cetera. And then just on the general brand side, representing, where I've demonstrated that on the student athlete side, I've been adept at content creation, but also on the brand side, I understand what they need for return on investment. Using that perspective and building it now, I think 2, 3, 4 years from now, after college, after, you know, my collegiate NIL, there's multiple avenues that I'm building for myself right now.
Dude, you got so many irons in the fire. It's crazy. And I can't wait to see what the next 5-10 years hold for you. I'm curious. You've got all these brand deals. Obviously, you're providing them an incredible ROI on the services that you provide. Is there one that stands out that you loved making, one brand that you really loved working for or providing or creating that content for?
Well, I really enjoy all of them. As far as content creation, each and every one, I think I get better just because, you know, whether it's like, all right, this is a great video person that I found, or there's a great editor that I found. I found out making a shot list makes the shoots a lot quicker, a lot easier, and then provides better quality. Learning the communication skills between what you're producing and then who is helping you produce your content and then the company as a whole, I think those are things that iron out some of the issues. What you see with a lot of student athletes is even if they have large fan bases, their content may be subpar just because they don't have the know-how for how to do it, or they don't have access to a good camera. These are things where, you know, hopefully schools start opening it up to where they're able to provide some type of assistance. But if not, hopefully on the company side, we're able to, you know, advocate for ourselves as content creators.
Yeah, it's so interesting you bring up like the production side, because there's so much behind the content that's created. People just assume you're just pulling up your phone, I'm going to record a video talking about Sundays, cookies, or whatever the brand is, Gatorade. How did you go about this whole process? Did you learn it? Was someone there to teach you? Like, if you were a 18-year-old coming into Div 1 school, you're about to walk onto a Div 1 football team, what steps are you taking to ensure that you do get NIL deals in place so that you can make money off of your name, image, and likeness, so that you're not in a position where you're scrounging for food dollars?
Right. Well, I mean, I'm really lucky to come from two parents who've pushed me to be excellent in everything that I do my entire life. And I think it is a privilege, not an obstacle, to be, amongst the firsts who are doing it. And so I think a lot of the trends, a lot of the perspectives of NIL that are going to shape the market to come are this first cohort of athletes. And so I don't take that lightly. As far as a campaign, I'm really a competitor at heart. So if there's 10 athletes in that campaign, I don't care who else is in there. You could throw guys in there who won the Heisman. You could throw guys in there or girls in there with 150,000 followers. I'm going to try to have the best content in that campaign. Yeah. So that's really how I look at it. And then once you get a couple deals, I say it's like offers. As soon as you, like scholarship offers, as soon as you demonstrate that you do well with them and can receive more, then the floodgates come in. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's some people who have become pros in it and some people who may not be maximizing their overall ability. And another thing for myself, I think my learning curve is probably as great, if not greater, than everyone else, just because I'm representing myself. As far as the people who've received as many deals as me, or the same dollar amount, a lot of those people are represented. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think expertise matters. I'm blessed to have a father who has some expertise in the advertisement space. And then for myself, I'm a go-getter. I'm a hustler. And so as soon as I did the first couple of deals and I saw the lay of the land, by representing myself, I learned more on every single deal than probably anyone else, because I'm learning from the content creation side on the student side, but also from the brand side what they need, because I'm in the meetings representing myself, talking to them as the entity providing the service, like you said.
Yeah, you just taste a little appetizer and then you're like, I want the full course. Yeah. Tell me what it felt like to win NIL Athlete of the Year, the crazy amount of honors. I know there was one in particular, the name stands out, that I'm going to try and say, but I'm going to butcher it. It's Wuerfful Trophy. Tell me about that.
So I was nominated for the Wuerfful Trophy, and God willing, this next year I think I'll be nominated again, which is a huge honor. That goes to the best, public service individual student athlete in college football. To be considered for that is huge for me, just because that's one of my life goals. Whenever people ask me what Chase Griffin is about, in the long run, I want to create generational wealth, and I want to do it early, and pass it to my family. Like my father says, not generational till it gets to that next generation. Yeah. So like making the money, but also finding ways for it to be sustainable and to keep it. And then contribute to philanthropy and public service. To be able to practice that through my NIL now, huge honor and huge blessing. College is supposed to be an educating experience. And I think pre-NIL, we were ripped of a lot of the education that other students on campus had the privilege of, being exposed to, whether it be working, getting job offers, representing themselves online on media, generating media for profit. We were barred from that. Now that we have that, I think we can truly have a cumulative education where, for myself, I'm, working on how to put my major into play, where we were talking about philanthropy in my public affairs major. Now I'm a graduate. Now I'm doing philanthropy with the LA Food Bank through my NIL. So those are just opportunities that we didn't have before that are huge blessings now, and other people are able to benefit off of us using our platforms.
Yeah, it's NIL just opens so many doors, and the fact that people are able to now add benefits to other people, like you said, LA Food Bank. Is there one thing that 10 years, crystal ball, Chase Griffin's like, this is what I want to do. I want to put it out into the ether to make sure it's known. Is there any one thing that stands out to you right now that sticks out? You're like, I want to make sure people know on the Athletes Podcast when they're listening.
Right. Well, whatever it is, I hope they're saying, man, Chase Griffin get them checks, but and is able to help other people get to the checks. Honestly, I still have 2 more years of eligibility after this year. Like I've said before, if I'm playing in the NFL 10 years from now, I wouldn't be surprised. And then at the same time, if that's not the avenue that God has for me, I definitely think that with my skill set, my talent, and my drive, I'll be successful in whatever, I choose to do, and then whatever best opportunities are put in front of me.
No doubt. Who'd you cheer for growing up other than Tomlinson? I know, like, was there a quarterback that you tried to emulate once you started playing the position?
So growing up, my favorite quarterbacks were probably Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees.
Okay.
Drew Brees is from Austin. He's at 6 foot. Just seeing a guy like him who's extremely accurate, makes all of the receivers around him better. That's the type of quarterback that I've always strived to be and have demonstrated I am in games, both at the high school and collegiate level. And then you look at Russell Wilson, who's my stature. He can move really well, and he's a baller. And so, honestly, as far as quarterbacks goes, there's so many that I know through the Elite 11 process, where I was a ball boy, through QB Collective, through a whole bunch of different camp series, and then just my time coming up training. I've had exposure to a lot of quarterbacks. Johnny Manziel, right after the Heisman season, was another guy who, I really respect. Like, to this day, Johnny's awesome. There's so many quarterbacks, and to be able to see them at a young age, I don't take that lightly. I think a lot of the reason why I'm here right now is because I was blessed with the opportunity to see those competitors in their prime. Yeah. And so I see how they train, I see how they compete, I see how they play. And what I realized is I'm not far behind at all on any of these guys. Yeah. Even if I was 10 years younger, mentally, I was right on par with them. I was competing with them. Mm-hmm. And so to know that I had that at a young age, that's a confidence to where when I'm here at UCLA, it's not foreign. I felt like I'm supposed to be in this room for 10 years. Yeah.
That was it was interesting. I shared that this morning on LinkedIn, that post that had you pictured 10 years ago at that QB Collective event. Like, how important is it to go to those events, qualifiers, training sessions? Like, one of the things, our goal is to educate, entertain, and inspire that next generation of athletes. And I can't stress enough the importance of practice, training, being dedicated, being willing to do things when you don't necessarily want to or feel like it. Can you maybe touch on what that for you meant and how you were able to stay mentally focused, seeing all these stars and competing with them and not getting wrapped up in all the additional hype?
Right. I think the importance of going to any, so-called best of the best event in whatever field you're in, it's just a chance for you to remain true to yourself and remain who you are. If you can stay as good you are in your backyard practices around competition or against guys who are rated higher than you, then, come game time, it's going to be easy. If you can stay yourself and perform at your best in any situation, especially around other guys who are trying to do the same thing as you, that's competition. Mm-hmm. And competition makes the great ones better, and it shows the ones who aren't there yet where they need to improve. Mm-hmm. But I also think that a lot of the time we put too much importance on that. As far as using them for education, that's the number one thing. So you learn more about yourself, you learn how to compete against other guys, you know where you're at. But more importantly, the coaching that you receive at these camps. A lot of these guys are NFL coaches. A lot of these guys are guys who've coached NFL players or have played in the NFL themselves. Being able to hear that and soak that up and take it back to your high school or your middle school or your college, that's the number one thing. Because at the end of the day, it's all about how you are around your guys. That's the most important work. Like you said, the training. The camps and stuff, all that, that's showcase. But the training, that's the everyday where you're waking up with your guys, you're throwing, you're making sure you have the timing, and you're getting with your O-line, getting on protections, run game, all that. As soon as you get that sharp, that's why you go to the camps, sharpen your toolbox, take some new stuff, and then come back.
Yeah, you mentioned like training day in. What does a day for Chase Griffin look like? I know this morning you were in the hot tub. I know you said your favorite food's pizza without pineapple. That's out for debate. I'm a fan of pineapple on it. But
is that a Canada thing?
We don't put syrup on the pizza, okay. That's for sure. Maybe on the butter pecan ice cream. But what does a day look like? What time are you getting up? What are you putting in your body as far as fuel, nutrition, diet? How often are you training? I'm always curious, making sure that next gen knows what elite QBs like yourself are doing.
Yeah, so as far as eating, I don't eat as much as a lot of other players. I probably get around like 2,500 calories a day. And I normally do that through 2 meals. So I like to eat 2 big meals a day.
Okay.
I don't really eat a lot of breakfast. If I do, it's just some fruit. In high school, we practiced at 6 a.m. every morning. So I got used to practicing with an empty stomach, and I like playing with an empty stomach. So I don't really like being on the field after eating, even if it's an hour or two before. And I know some guys will fight me on that. Like
I'm with you on it.
I've been balling a long time.
Yeah,
I know it works for me. But as far as eating for lunch, always some type of protein, whether it be chicken, steak, and then some type of grain, whether it's potatoes, rice, etc. And then I don't love vegetables like that. I like raw vegetables, so maybe carrots, and then definitely fruit. So like I eat a lot of fruit with each of my meals. That's how I'm able to supplement with carbs and sugars. And I basically do that again for dinner. So I eat 2 big meals. Within 8 hours, I don't really do intermittent fasting on purpose, but it just turns out that it's that way. And as long as I'm able to do that, and I drink a ton of water, I'm able to maintain my weight where, even through 6 games in the season, I've only lost, 2 or 3 pounds, and I'm still as strong as I was.
Good for you. Hydration, supplements that you take, anything in particular that you use?
I take a lot of vitamins. I take CMOS, and then, daily vitamin D. Zinc and magnesium are really good for the brain, and then some type of fish oil.
Okay, I love it. That's awesome. Sometimes people are a little reserved with what they're putting in their body. I'm basically on the same track. Magnesium and zinc for men, huge, crazy impact that can have on performance. And then training. How often are you in the gym? Are you doing a lot of throwing? Are you avoiding the gym during the season? Like, what's that routine look like?
Yeah, so, I'm not sure how it is at every school, but I think at this level, for the most part, you're not really doing too much work on your own during season. It just takes up so much time. So as far as a normal day, this week's a bye week, so it's a little bit more lax. Like, we even had practice this morning. But so on Monday, I'll wake up probably around 6:15, 6:30. So I'm able to get pretty good sleep. And then after that, I'll come to the facility, maybe eat some fruit, drink some water. I drink water when I first wake up as well. And then, check in, do the hot tub, maybe get some treatment where they roll out, stuff like that. Yeah. And then we do a team stretch on the field, and then we have meetings, and then we head down to practice. That's about 2 hours. And then half the days of practice we lift right after, and then we'll have 4 or 5 hours off where we'll eat dinner. I'll go back to my room, chill, do whatever NIL or school stuff I have if I have class, and then come back to the facility, and then have more meetings, have a walkthrough, and then eat dinner. And then you basically just repeat that. And then as you get closer to the game day, Thursday and Friday are a little more lax. If it's an away game, Friday is our travel day.
Tell me what a game day feels like on campus, the buzz, the atmosphere.
Yeah, so it's funny. On campus, we don't really feel too much buzz just because we're either tucked off in the hotel or at our rooms. But what we do see is when we're riding out, we see all the kids walking to the fraternities and sorority buses, and they're about to head to the student section. So that's always fun. Every game day, I think I wake up with my own buzz. I'm always excited. Even if I'm not going to start, I start every single day like I'm going to, start the game, win the game, just because I know I have to be prepared for that. That's sort of who I am as a person. And there's been times where I've been called up, and had to play well, and I have. And I think if you don't go into every single game thinking that you're going to win the game for your team, then, you're shooting yourself.
For sure. Yeah. What are some of your methods to stay calm, cool, collected? You've obviously got a cool demeanor here right now, but like when you get on that field, jitters, emotions, stresses, cortisol levels increase, like you use a specific routine method to stay in that zone?
Yeah, so ever since high school, I think my number one thing is be extremely active pregame, where at the Rose Bowl, they're blasting music. Pretty much every state, they're blasting music. I'm dancing. So, like, in between throws, I'm bobbing my head. I'm like, yeah. Just because I know come game time, if I get all that out now, come game time, I'm almost comatose. Like if you see any of the pictures of me during games, like I'm like, like barely eyes open, and it's because I'm just so locked into my job, and it's sort of an out of body experience. I find that the times when I play best are the times where I'm not even thinking at all. I'm just reacting. I'm a player, and I think that comes from making sure that I'm mentally prepared during the week. That way, come Saturday, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just having fun out there, playing the game, playing loose. And what I always found is I'm better in games than in practice. I'm good in practice, but I'm better in games just because games feel easier to me. I'm not sure if it's, just a knack for performance that I have, or just a certain level of confidence, or just my approach to game day. But I've always found, I'm a gamer. Like when I'm in games, nobody can touch me. I always feel like I'm the best player on the field.
Yeah, you rise to the occasion, right? I feel like you do that on and off the field, whether it's representing a brand or on the field performing. If you were to go back and look at your high school career, any particular things that stand out for you that you did during that process that led to you getting here? Any pivotal moments that you experienced, whether it was scholarships, going through applications, having coach recruitment calls, like any moments that were like, that's when like, oh, I'm getting there, like this is gonna happen?
I think all of it. Honestly, like I said, my experiences in Elite 11 as an 11-year-old, I think, contributed greatly to me being at UCLA now.
No big deal.
And that's also about the people I met. Some of the people like George Whitfield and Trent Dilfer are people who I believe God placed in my life. And I definitely am grateful to where I am now because of people like them. And then you also have with QB Collective, I got my first offer there through Mike McDaniel, who's the head coach of the Miami Dolphins and has them balling. Yeah. So when I just look at all the people who've been placed into my life, along with most of all my family, where both of my parents, they saw that I had dreams and they were on me always about getting there, but also, helped keep perspective the whole way. There were a lot of days, even in high school, where I was balling, where it's like, man, am I ever going to get that offer? Or there were times after sophomore year where it's like, man, am I going to get a offer? And I would, like I said, I would go to these camps and I'd be the best one there, and it wouldn't even be close. Like, I know in the history of Texas, there's not a lot of quarterbacks who played better than I played. And to have that after my sophomore year, after my junior year, and still not have all the offers that I wanted, that was definitely something that I had to practice overcoming each and every day. So if I look back on the most pivotal moment in my high school, I think it was just every single day showing up and realizing, well, what really matters to me is Hutto winning the state championship. And so every single day I showed up like that was my job, because it was. If you handle what you have to do in the classroom, if you handle what you have to do outside the classroom or on the football field, good things are going to happen. And so living each day to the maximum and giving max effort and performing well in everything that I did was really the key ingredient to me getting to where I am today. And the main thing is, now that I'm where I'm at now, the key to get to the next step is you got to do it again.
Yeah. I get chills, man, hearing it, because I think it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Any incredible stadiums that you've had the experience of visiting, experiences? We just watched Georgia versus Mizzou in Mizzou, where that upset nearly occurred. Would have been crazy. You have any that you've experienced that you want to share?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as playing, the Pac-12 has great stadiums. They're all beautiful. I'm looking forward to going back up to Autzen, up in Oregon this next week. That was where my first start was. University of Washington is a beautiful stadium. Honestly, the most live game I've ever been to, I didn't play in. It was I was probably around 13 or 14. My father took me to an A&M game to see Johnny Manziel for my birthday. And College Game Day was there. It was the year after Johnny had beat them. Both teams, were at the top of their game. Mike Evans was balling as always. And both quarterbacks put on great performances. Alabama won, but, Johnny was the best player in the game. that was probably the most live. Kyle Field, and it's amazing because they have a walk up where everyone walks sort of through the facility almost, through campus to the stadium, and it's 105, 110,000 people just, and they have the crowd masters out there doing their dance, doing their thing, and that's an experience where it's like, man, Texas, the state of Texas is a little bit different when it comes to football. But another thing is, I still have 2 years left. My final year could be in the Big Ten. And I'm looking forward to seeing those Big Ten stadiums like Horseshoe, Michigan, Big House, those types of stadiums.
Yeah, I love it. I'm looking forward to it. We'll be watching. Chase, the way we wrap up every episode is we ask our guest what their biggest piece of advice would be for the next gen. You've provided a ton over the last 32 minutes. Any particular piece you want to leave that next gen with?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing that's kept me on track has been my faith. And I'm not one to push any religion on anyone, but I know for myself, my faith has been my guiding rock just because it keeps things in perspective. And I would say, if not that, just find something in your life that keeps everything else in perspective, that you can put, that supersedes everything else, that's a constant. And so, and life isn't ups and downs, that's just a game. And it's how it goes. And if you're able to accept that and still roll with the punches and understand that there's going to be times where you're successful and times where you don't think you're successful, where you really are, the key isn't about winning each day on the grand scale. It's about finding the little wins, because that's what really adds up when you look at the whole body of work and you're like, man, I'm where I'm at because each and every day I just found a little win. So I'd say find something that keeps everything in perspective for you. That way you can look at, all the little blessings, all the little wins, because they really add up, and just count things that you're grateful for. For myself, I try to start every morning, go to sleep every night, just thanking God for all the things that I'm grateful for. And that keeps me in a grateful mind. It keeps me motivated, and it keeps me thinking that things are going to be better than they even are now. And as long as you're always working towards something, I'm not saying that so that you feel like you're not enough or not content. I'm saying feel content because you're winning. You're working to something.
Amazing. I'm grateful for your time, Chase. I really appreciate you coming on the Athletes Podcast, helping us educate that next generation of athletes.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Likewise.